Hey guys, it's Tearless. Welcome back to the Netherlight Temple. This is the class order hall for priests in World of Warcraft Legion. I would like to bring you part 2 of the 2 video series looking at Discipline Priests. In this video we will be looking at the Discipline Priests PvE and PvP talents. So let's go ahead and take a look at them. Significant changes here for a Discipline Priest in World of Warcraft Legion. First, we're going to start with the PvE talents. Starting over here with number 15 tier, the Penitent. Penance may be cast on friendly target, healing them for 151,000 over 1.9 seconds. As you guys heard in the first video, Penance no longer heals and instead does damage. It plays more into the playstyle. Honestly, considering how well the new playstyle works, I kind of don't like Penance. I don't like this talent. I like Plea better than this. So, I mean, 3 Pleas will get you the same amount as this. It will take more time, but it will get you the same amount of healing at much less mana cost. It'll be like, I think like maybe 25,000 mana cost once it's all said and done. Because the first one will be 3k, or the first one will be 4k, and then it'll be 8k, and then it'll be like 12k or something like that. So it ends up being a little bit less, at least 25% less than what a penance would cost. So I don't know how popular that talent is. I'm not really a big fan of it. Next one we have here is Castigation, which penance fires 1 additional bolt of holy light over its duration. Now this one I do like a little bit better because of how the playstyle is. So now you have an extra shot of penance that you can use if you choose so. The last one here is Schism, which you attack the enemy's soul with a surge of shadow energy, dealing 118,000 shadow damage and increasing damage that you deal to the target by 30% for 6 seconds. So let's go ahead and use this here. And you can see right there, simple visual, and then I'll do more damage through penance. So that was damage through penance normally. Let's go ahead and use penance again, see what I normally deal. 46,000. So that's a pretty significant increase in damage there. So that's your first tier. And the second tier, the third tier, this should look very familiar. Angelic Feather is back, and Body and Soul are back. The only thing that you need to know is that both of these have had their movement speed reduced from about 60% down to 40%. So now Angelic Feathers will only give you 40%, and Body and Soul will only give you a 40% increase. The new one here is Masochism, which is when you cast Shadow Mend on yourself, its damage over time effect heals you instead. So let me see if I can go ahead and use this right here. I can use Shadow Mend right here, and I heal myself, and then I'm supposed to start taking damage. I think because I'm in here, it doesn't show me taking damage, or it may have been bugged. But when I have this active, now the damage over time effect, which is 81,000, will now start healing me instead. Once again, I do not believe that the secondary effect of Shadow Mend is working properly right now. But basically what that equates to is instead of 162,000 damage minus 81,000, you instead get 162,000 plus 81,000 when you use it on yourself. So considering the climate of the way things are and how Penance now has a baseline, at least through your, it has it through your artifact weapon that you can move quicker when you use Penance, it may be better to try out Masochism and see if you like it better. I don't know. So we have Shining Force here. Creates a burst of light around a friendly target, knocking back nearby enemies and slowing their movement speed by 70% for 3 seconds. We'll go ahead and use that here because I don't have to test the others. You can see the burst there, and it's a knockback, so it's pretty nice. Second here is Psychic Voice. One thing I forgot to mention in the other video is that Psychic Scream is now baseline for Discipline Priests. You no longer have to talent into it. It's just straight baseline, so that's a really nice addition to have. However, it is a 1-minute cooldown, so getting Psychic Voice will return it down to the 30-second cooldown that is standard in Warlords of Draenor talent tree. The last talent here is something PvE characters, especially dungeon PvE characters may really like. in I just read the article today that World of Warcraft Legion is going to be very dungeon focused, so this may be popular. It basically turns your Dominate Mind or your mind control spell into an actual CC now. So you may now also control your character while mind control is active, and mind control now lasts 1 minute, but it cannot be used against players. Um, there's weird situations. I shouldn't say weird, but there are very niche situations, however you pronounce it, that you can use mind control in PvP. So if you're a PvEer, this is something you can use because now you actually have, a form of CC that you can use. You can mind control them, and then you can continue to dish out your damage slash healing as a disciplined priest, which is pretty cool. In the 60 tier, we have welcoming back Power Word Solace. I believe this functions exactly the way it is on live. I do believe, though, that its cooldown has been increased by 2 seconds. So originally it was a 10-second cooldown. Here it's 12 seconds, but it's been reduced a little bit by like 11.1. I honestly don't know where the reductions are coming from. I've looked at stats and whatnot. I'm not sure where these reductions are coming from, but that is the change for Power Word Solace in this tree. Otherwise, Mindbender is exactly the same. Still the same ability that you have before. Replaces Shadow Fiend. It's a 1-minute cooldown. And then you have a new one here called Shield Discipline. Whenever your Power Word Shield is completely absorbed, you instantly regenerate 1% of your maximum mana. 1% of your maximum mana is roughly it's 11,000. So out of a shield that costs 22,000, you basically get half of it back. So in the 75 tier, we have Contrition, which increases atonement duration by 2 seconds. This is actually, I think, going to be kind of popular because of how atonement works now. We discussed in the last video about how you basically, the single buff on atonement, you put it on a character and it stays there, and it just sticks there for, I believe it's 15 seconds. That's how long it lasts. We'll double check here in the spell book to see how long atonement lasts. Yes, 15 seconds. So that would change it to 75 seconds to 17 seconds. That you can have atonement up and continue to heal someone. Like if I were to go ahead and plop it on our Dark Cleric here, that allows you to continually heal that character with that atonement. Or if you have several dots on it, it'll just continue to heal them over the course of that, which is pretty good. Power Infusion and Twist of Fate are very similar and function exactly the same way they do on live. We have increases your power for 20 seconds, increases haste by 25%, reduces mana cost of all spells by 20%, 2-minute cooldown, and then we have Twist of Fate after healing a target below 35 health. You deal 20% increased damage and 20% increased healing for 10 seconds. That's kind of a big deal, especially since the damage and the healing, increased damage equates into more healing, and then you have a 20% increased healing. This one's actually really confusing, and I'm wondering how this is going to work because, because basically you have 20% increased damage and 20% increased healing. So does that affect your atonement healing as well? So you get 20% increased damage, which means that now you have a larger pool for that 40 or so, 47% or so, whatever it is, depending on your mastery, to heal, my Dark Cleric Cecile over here. And then on top of that, is that healing increased by 20%? I do not have the answer for you on that. I would have to do some testing on some targets below 35% health, but it's something to look out for when you're actually going to be testing this when the pre-patch comes out, and it's something I'm sure that the PvE pros will figure out really quickly. In the 90 tier, we have the loss of one of my absolute favorite abilities in Warlords of Draenor. I'm not quite sure if it's still here as a a Holy Priest talent. I'm really hoping it is. If not, it will be missed. Instead, Clarity of Will was dropped a tier, and it is now in the 90 tier. It functions the same way. Divine Star, still here, functions the same way. Same thing with Halo, functions the same way. Cascade was removed. It was one of the flashiest spells. I loved it, and I really kind of hope it's still in there somewhere, but I'm not quite sure where it would be. In the level 100 tier, we have Grace in the center here. Name coming back, icon and all, increases the non-atonement healing with absorption by 30% on targets with atonement. So let's break this down. Increases your non-atonement healing. So any healing that's done through damage is not going to be affected by this, and absorption by 30%. Okay, it will be affected. Sorry. Increases your non-atonement healing. So if I use Plea on a target, it's going to increase the healing from that, but it will not increase any of the healing that is done through damage. So I did get that correct. And then your absorption as well, which will be through your power word shield and your smite. I don't know if the smite absorption is counted as a shield. It says absorption here, so I'm assuming that the damage absorption that you get from smite will actually activate as well on you. So the next 40,000 damage dealt will be absorbed. So I don't know if that's affected. I doubt it is, but something to look out for. So we have two really cool abilities here. First, we have Purge the Wicked. 22,000 mana. Cleanses the target with fire, dealing 29,000 fire damage and an additional 134,000 fire damage over 20 seconds, and spreads to additional nearby enemy when you cast Penance on the target. This makes your healing really powerful. I do not know the range on this as far as when it spreads, but let's go ahead and test it. So we have Purge now, and we'll go ahead and use it. It looks like a good old holy fire. We'll use penance. Okay, it looks like you're gonna have to be a lot closer for that to spread. But I mean, just imagine, you're gonna be able to put, atonement on yourself, and if you're able to, all you have to do is press this instant cast and then another instant cast in penance and spread it to all these targets. We're talking about a mass amount of incoming healing that you'll be able to provide as a disciplined priest. If you've got a lot of AoE in the matchup, you're able to do a lot of AoE damage by just spreading basically your old power word, shadow word pain to all the targets, and then just heal them all over the place, which is pretty amazing. The third ability here is going to be referred to as Shadow Covenant. It will replace your power word Radiance. Draw on the power of the shadow to heal up to 5 injured allies within 30 yards of the target for 121,000, but leaves a shell on them that absorbs the next 60,000 healing they receive for 60 seconds. So let's go ahead and use this here just so we can see what it looks like. And we can go ahead and see it right there. It's not really flashy or anything like that at all. So I don't know how much I really like this ability. Get this out of here so you can see right here. And that's it. It looks like it may be missing maybe some spell visuals or even some indicators that it's actually on the target. But that is the Shadow Covenant ability. It possibly may be bugged, I'm not sure. But I would expect there to be more of a visual that it's actually on the target or a debuff indicator or something. But it's kind of a trade-off, No longer will you have the AoE, but at the same time I do believe it will do more for you in terms of straight healing. Burst healing, that is. Because this will heal for only 60,000, but it gives you atonement, which then you're able to burst heal. Now imagine if you have Purge the Wicked, and you're able to Purge the Wicked and then have Radiance on the target. I'm going to assume that that's going to do a lot more healing much quicker than Shadow Covenant will be able to do. So that's just my opinion, but I'm not sure about the exact numbers. Once again, that's something for the theory crafters to kind of iron out and figure out for you guys. I'm bringing you guys the basics of the main changes that are coming to a disciplined priest in World of Warcraft Legion. So with that, that is everything for the PvE talent tree for a disciplined priest. Let's go ahead and move into the PvP talent tree. Now, before we get into the PvP talent tree, do know that the first two tiers are the standard across all classes. The first tier is standard across every class. The second tier is standard across every type of player. And what I mean by that is you have either range DPS, melee DPS, healer, or tank. So that is different depending on which role you play. And then from there, you start getting into the pre-specific talents. Now, this works like Call of Duty. You start at level 1, and you can go all the way up to level 50, and then you'll prestige and start at the beginning. And you will gain these talents starting up with Gladiator's Medallion, and going all the way down to Power Word Fortitude, and then going back up to top to Adaptation, moving all the way down, Relentless all the way down. That's how it's going to function. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at these talents. Oh, do know that if you prestige, you'll lose all of that, and you'll start back at square one, and you'll have to level them all up again. So that when you get to level 50, you'll once again have them all over again. So it'll be kind of your decision whether you want to prestige or you just want to leave it as is. So, with that being said, let's look at the first one. First is Gladiator's Medallion. When you first PvP for the first time, you'll get an Honorable Medallion, and that is a 3-minute cooldown of PvP trinket. This will replace it with a 2-minute one. That's basically saying, okay, I'm going to replace the standard heirloom trinket with an actual PvP trinket. That's what Gladiator's Medallion is. Adaptation. This is I really like this one on DPS. It's not really my favorite for healers. All loss of control effects with a duration of 5 seconds or more will activate your Honorable Medallion spell, but only causes it to incur a 60-second cooldown. So that basically gives you a 60-second cooldown on your Honorable Medallion, but you no longer have control over it. Now, you can still activate an Honorable Medallion, but then it activates the 3-minute cooldown instead. So you'll no longer be able to have adaptation until that 3 minutes comes up. The last here is Relentless. I really only see tanks taking this. It replaces your Honorable Medallion, and that's the big kind of gut-wrenching problem with it. And the duration of incoming crowd control effects by 25. It reduces the incoming crowd control effects by 25%. I honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if they changed it so that this didn't replace Honorable Medallion. Maybe I'm undervaluing 25% reduction on duration of incoming crowd control effects. But I just don't see anyone taking it other than a tank. In this next tier, this is the healing tier. We have a Defender of the Week. After healing a target below 50% health, you gain 20% haste for 5 seconds. In the second one, we have Vim and Vigor. While you are at or above 80% health, your healing is increased by 20%. And then lastly, we have Inner Renewal. Casting effective heals on yourself directly will refund 50% of the spell's mana cost. That's for mana consumption, dealing with mana consumption in PvP, which I really don't think is too dire of a problem in PvP as compared to PvE. Now we start getting into the priest talents. We have Purification. Purify now has a maximum of 2 charges, so you now have 2 charges on Purify. Right now it only has 1. In the second, we have a Spiritual Cleansing. Purify no longer has a cooldown, but only dispels 1 magic and disease effect. Right now, baseline, it will remove all magic and disease effects. I think it really kind of depends on the character you're facing. There's some characters out there that are able to put up billions of dots on you. Maybe you might want to deal with it, maybe you may not. Depends. So it's going to be kind of a flavor thing. Purified Resolve, removing harmful effects with Purify will apply Purified Resolve to the target, granting an absorption shield equal to 8% of their maximum health. Lasts 8 seconds. So this is the Purified tier. You basically pick your poison on which type of Purify that you want to have. Honestly, let's be blunt here. Pretty boring tier. You see your fourth tier here, we have Searing Light. When you deal damage with Smite, the cooldown on your penance is reduced by 1 second. It increases the damage done by your penance by 30%. That's pretty cool. You're going to be doing Smite a lot as a Disciplined Priest in PvP because you're going to be healing through Atonement. You have Premonition. Its instant 12-second cooldown heals nearby targets within 20 yards for 21,000 and applies Atonement to yourself. Deals 40,000 shadow damage to yourself for each atonement you have active. So let's say you were to pop Power Word Radiance. And then you were to use Premonition. It would deal 40,000 shadow damage to yourself for each atonement damage. So you would literally be doing about, what, 120,000 damage to yourself, depending on how much atonement has. They're really making you, as a disciplined priest, pay attention to how many stacks of atonement you have out there, because there are abilities that are really going to start hurting if you have a lot of atonement stacks out there. So you have to be careful and pay attention to your atonement stacks at all times. I would not be surprised to see a much better indicator add-on that someone makes to help people track who has atonement. There's Psalm Prayers. Reduces the duration of incoming silence and interrupt effects by 25%. That can be pretty big. Somewhat similar to Relentless. I don't know if they stack or whatnot. Crowd control effects generally don't apply to silence and interrupt effects, I don't believe, but I could be wrong about that. It's been a while since I did any type of healer, or I should say casting DPS in PvP. I have my hunter and then a lot of melee classes, so it's been a while since I was playing a caster in PvP. I think the last time was a mage, and it was a really long time ago. In this 5th tier, we have Strength of Soul. Your Power Word Shield reduces all physical damage taken by 30% while the shield persists. Pretty strong, if I do say so myself. We have Renewed Help. Your Power Word Shield and Power Word Barrier also heals targets affected for 42,000. And then lastly, we have Dome of Light. Power Word Barrier reduces the damage taken by an additional 25%, and the cooldown of your Power Word Barrier is reduced by 60 seconds. This could be very useful. The only problem I have with it is that Power Word Barrier, once again, is a location-based spell, so you must... One thing I hate, and maybe this is just me coming as a hunter and the other mobility-esque classes that I like playing, I don't like being in one place at the same time, like just sticking to one place. So maybe this bothers me more than at others. However, I do have a Disc Priest friend that uses Power Word Barrier a lot, and he saves me a lot with Power Word Barrier. So, it's definitely something to look forward to. This entire tier looking at Power Word Shield and Power Word Barrier. This Strength of Soul personally being my favorite, because I do believe with how Disciplined Priests are healing in this expansion that melee is going to be more of a problem from them, possibly, than they have been before. So, in this tier we have Power Word Fortitude. Increases the target with Vitality. Infuses the target with Vitality, increases the maximum health by 15% for 1 hour, maximum 2 targets. So, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool for you, like you and a friend. Basically, you just stick this on 2 targets. Arena 2s, probably definitely taking this. Power Word Fortitude, basically, though, coming back different. It's no longer just a raid-wide buff. It's just 2 players that you can put on you and another player. Personally, I'm glad raid-wide buffs are gone. I hated reviving from a graveyard in a BG and then like stacking my buffs up again. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely had a lot of characters and PvP with a lot of characters in which I didn't have to worry about buffing myself. There's Archangel, making its return in the PvP talent tier, refreshes the duration of your atonement on all allies when cast. Increases your healing and absorption effects by 30% for 15 seconds. So timing this like at an opportune time. I mean, let's just say that you are able to get, let's say you're able to get 9 players with atonement, okay? No, that's a little bit much. Let's say you're able to get 6 players with atonement, okay? You have 6 stacks of atonement up. They're getting close, like, one of them's getting really close to 15 seconds, the others are about 9 seconds. You're able to hit this, and it refreshes the duration on atonement for all of them. You can put atonement on more players, and then on top of that, you have talents like Purge the Wicked, and then use Penance, and then you're just mass healing everyone. I like this talent. If I am a Disc Priest, this is something I'm definitely looking for in a rated battleground setting. Anything in which you have more targets than one or two. The last one here is Dark Archangel. Increases your damage and the damage of all allies with your atonement by 15% for 8 seconds. So both Archangels are dealing with your atonement and the new changes to atonement. This is basically a damage boost for everyone with atonement. So if you're able to spread your atonement pretty far. I'm not quite sure whether this drops off with atonement or it's just 8 seconds no matter what. If it's 8 seconds no matter what, you could possibly get atonement on something up to like probably up to 12 targets, something along those lines. 10 targets, you could so easily in a rated battleground, you can get this across to all of your targets, and then give them a 15% damage buff, and it's only on a 1-minute cooldown. So you can definitely see possibly Disc Priest being a very offensive healer. You know, maybe if you're in a rated battleground with 2 healers, maybe 3, but 2 healers, I would expect the Disc Priest to be more on the offensive side of things than the defensive side of things. I could be wrong about that, but it's definitely something that I could see happening in the PvP world. So, with that, there is everything for Discipline Priests in World of Warcraft Legion. I hope you guys enjoyed this. There's a lot going on with Discipline Priests, a lot of changes, and I think finally they've got it right. They've got it fixed into a position in which you actually have a class that is going to be able to DPS and, you know, punch out the healing at the same time. I do not think this spec will be ignored. I think it will be used, and so I definitely hope to see a lot of people out there testing this. So, that's everything for Discipline Priest. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. Tearless out.